like a boss.
Action. Alright ladies, welcome to Mindful Attraction 2.0. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to use charm to get any guys to chase you. So I'm going to be showing you how to be charming and how to use your charm to get any guys to chase you. This is going to be one of those dark videos that when I was making the notes, I was like, fucking A, goddamn it, not another one. Right? This is one of those videos that makes me look like the coach who teaches women how to manipulate guys, right? But these are very essential tools that any woman can use if you have benevolent intentions. If you have good intentions and your heart is in the right place, I encourage you to use this as long as you don't use this to really fuck with a guy in order to get revenge. I'm not a fan of that. But if you guys want to do it for revenge, I mean, I think he must have been an asshole if that's where you really want to go, right? So, mind you, charming a man is seducing without having sex. That's what all of this is, right? Being charming is seduction without the sex. That's how Robert Greene calls it, right? So seducing. And I want you to realize that charming, using charm as your form of seduction, does not include your physical lures, your physical body, your youth, because seducing with physical beauty is weak and short-minded. It's a short-minded way of seducing. It's very primitive. Once your youth fades away, someone else will take your place, and you'll be left out in the dust with no way to defend yourself in the superficial world. So if you've just been used to using your body, using your beautiful body to seduce a guy, you're not gonna really learn how to really mind fuck him and how to really penetrate his mind, right? Because you're gonna stay in the superficial route. And guys are just going to view you as a sexual being and not going to really appreciate you for who you are. Charming allows men to know you and allows a man to feel a bond with you without being overly sexual, right? They know how, so being charming, a charming woman knows how to enter a man's spirit and reflect their ideal self through how they make them feel. You see, you make a man feel better about himself, you make him feel more masculine, right? So that's what charming is all about. It's all about knowing the weak areas, right? You engross them with your web through targeting a man's vanity and self-esteem. That's where you want to be targeting through using your charm. You want to target his vanity and his self-esteem. These are all the areas where a man has very little control of, and you have more power to control it, because the society that we live in values women above all things. So if a man gets a woman, his self-esteem will rise, and in the eyes of the world, he'll look like a higher value kind of individual. So inherently, attraction towards women, there is a certain level of self-esteem attached to it, attached to getting her validation, you see. And so you can increase your value through using these tactics, and you can see how you can easily control a guy, right? These so you get them emotional while you remain detached. So that's the point, is that you get them emotionally attached while you remain in the background unattached. You appear to be attached, but in reality, you're not really that attached. So at first, you appear weaker, but in the end, you end up with the ability to control any man's mood. You hence are stronger by nature. You become the seduced, the victim, and the one who's interested for the mere short term. You see? So that's where the feminine style seducing comes from, in terms of the feminine way of seducing has patience and passivity inherently in it. You see, it's thinking more long term. All right. So as you get to know them, by understanding them at the level of pain and pleasure, which is in their minds, their needs, understanding their wants, understanding their fantasies, and understanding what they really hope in their lives, you then tailor your attention based on those needs and hopes. Right. So you flatter him based on his weaknesses. You flatter him on specific and customized ways. So if he needs to feel more masculine, you feign weakness and allow him the illusion of empowering you. So if he is lacking self-esteem, you compliment him in a way that's specific based on the area that he's weak in, you see? So you find what triggers him, and then you use that as an anchor to control his emotions for the better, right? So for example, let's say he's an NBA player. I just say he's an NBA player, right? He's an amazing NBA player, right? So what do you say? Oh, there's no way I could compliment him. Mind you, every man has insecurities. No matter how awesome he is, he has insecurities. So if he's awesome at basketball, he's going to have one area where people neglect and he wishes people would notice, but because he's always being outshined by his basketball skills. So you look for that. You look at his side hobby. What does he enjoy doing? What, he enjoys playing golf? All right, then you begin complimenting him on his golf game, and you begin talking to people that you know in front of him about his golf game rather than his basketball game. And he's gonna feel good about himself because you're paying attention to an area that other people don't pay attention to, right? So flatter him based on his weakness. You flatter you flatter them in specific and customized ways, right? So if he's lacking self-esteem, you compliment him in specific ways on his weak areas. You find what triggers him and you'll use it. Okay, so that's what we talked about that, right? So the next point is that make them feel like a man and he'll become addicted to you, like we talked about, right? So make him feel that make him feel that you're wanted by other men, which is through pre-selection, and that his charm is what melted your heart, and he'll grow depending on you, right? So when he gets to know you, like, don't just act as though he's the only guy in your life. Something very important to put out there is that, yes, you're talking to him, but there's other guys in your life that are interested in him. So you can insinuate talking about how you were hanging out with your friend, or how your friend took you to this good ice cream shop, or how your friend helped you out with this, how your friend gave you a ride because you needed a ride. You just talk about your friend. You see? And so what tends to happen is that the guy will fill in the void, and he'll realize, oh, there's other guys in your life, right? But while you're doing that, if you show him that, you know what, my friend asked me to hang out, but I wanted to hang out with you. By showing him that there's other guys in your life, but that you choose to be with him, right? He's like, fuck yeah, I wanted it, yeah. Like, that guy thought he was gonna hang out with her, but guess what? I'm the guy. You see, that's the way to make him feel masculine, right? So that's how you can be charming. And this is a very long video, so you guys gotta sit down and listen. All right. So, be warned though, is that this style of charm only works on the guys who have low self-esteem, and not on guys who have really, really, really high confidence and a lot of options. That's the only thing about them that you gotta realized, right? So some ways that you could do this is become a source of good emotions, right? So allow him to speak about his problems and listen, and try to provide pleasure as a way to distract them, right? So you gotta become a source of self-esteem, which means that don't talk about your problems in front of him. Don't complain about your problems. If you talk about your problems, talk about them quickly, and then ask him about his own problems. See what I'm saying? We're going to talk about redirecting questions later on. So this can be done by so you provide pleasure in a way to distract them, right? So this could be done by teasing him and then giving into him from time to time, or just by listening and being there for him without you talking about your own problems, right? So from the start, another way that you can do this is from the start, develop a reputation of honesty, right? So when you first meet the guy, one of the most important things to develop the reputation is of an honest person, right? So this will pattern everything that you do. So if he knows you from the outset as an honest person, right, you can easily then almost pattern everything that you do, and he will never get suspicious of you, and he will never start doubting you. You see what I'm saying? But it's important for you to develop the reputation of an honest person from the onset, right? So from the start, do that. Okay, and I'm talking a lot, right? So be indirect and get at what you want. That's another thing, right? So you encounter less resistance. So something you got to realize is that being indirect doesn't mean being honest, you see, all the time. It means that you got to learn how to do selective honesty. Become selectively honest from time to time, right? Fake confess so that he can open up about something. So don't just talk about, so if you're talking to a guy, act as though you're confessing something important, right? So that he can open up as well. So now you get him to talk about something that's important about him. It doesn't mean that what you confess, you're like, I got to be honest with you. Like, one of my biggest fear is dogs. Like, you just talk in a very low tone, right? By acting as though you're confessing something important, he feels like he has to do the same. And so what's going to happen is that if you're not attached to the outcome, you're not really giving him a real confession, what's going to happen is that he's the one that's going to feel the attachment, and you remain detached. And that's how you develop, and that's how you gain leverage and power, because you're less attached than he is. You see? So he's the one who's going to begin to feel a bond with you. So be known as an honest person. Kill any doubts to your character by orchestrating moments of honesty. Okay? So that's what you're going to be doing, right? You're orchestrating moments of honesty. Like, for example, fake confess a lie. You can be like, look, to be honest with you, I lied to you about this, and blah, blah, blah. Like, feel as though, I cannot believe I'm confessing this, but I lied to you about this. Make it something that's weak. Make it something that's a little white lie, but just confess to lying and say, I'm someone who cannot be lying. Like, I just cannot deal with a lie, right? Like, those little white lies that you orchestrate intentionally will give the air of honesty. You see? And that's important. Charming people appear honest, unfortunately. So that's why I look honest, right? So think of it. So think in advance about any excuses and/or manipulations, right? For example, this again, charming is about being direct and smart, right? So for example, like for example, like having your friend call you. Ring ring is a female friend. Having your friend call you while your guy's in front of you, and you're like, baby, I gotta take this call, and you just go in the other room. You act suspicious. You're like, who are you talking to? Hey, who are you talking to? Not them. I'm talking to my friend. And you're like, who's with your friend? Not them. Just my friend. Just my friend. You're like, wait a minute. Let me see. You're like, look, baby, it's my real friend. It's Melissa, right? And so what's happening is that when you do this, you sort of make him like, damn, I guess she's being honest. I guess I'm the one who's being paranoid. Right? And you could use this and bring it back to him one day when he feels like he's being paranoid. You'd be like, look, baby, the one time when I was talking to my friend and you thought it was another guy, it's because stop being so paranoid. I told you I'm an honest person. You see, you could use that, you could redeem that. Right? And that by simply doing that, you could develop he'd be like, oh, fuck, I guess I'm being insecure again. Because he felt certain, and guess what? Through your actions, you made him feel like he was wrong. And so now he's going to start doubting his decision making based on the experience that you gave him, rather than you trying to convince him through your words. You thought it advanced. It's being smart. All right? So to charm, you can't be too honest. Like Robert Greene says, honesty is a blunt instrument that hurts more than heals, right? So better yet, consider your intentions. For example, another way is friend zoning him, to be charming about it. Like friend zone him, right? But express your attraction towards him in your actions and set barriers. Like say we're just friends, but act in a way that you really like him. Right? Want to spend time with him, text him in the morning, but make sure you let him know directly that you guys are friends by calling him buddy, hey buddy, and all that sort of stuff, right? So you send him those mixed signals, but because there's an underlying sexual tension behind everything that you do, because he's like, fuck, I can't get her, I want her, she's a temptation, everything that you do will be enhanced because it's enhanced by a hint of sexuality. You see? Friends on the home, and that's suddenly everything you say is interesting because they want to fuck you. Another thing is, don't be the victim. Don't complain. Complaining will make you look like you're not charming. All right. So don't complain to him. Don't be the one who listens to his complaints. Be more of a support than someone who needs support. Right. If you're giving a gift, make sure. Another thing is about being charming is if you're giving a gift, make sure you do your research in advance. Make sure you thought about that gift. Thoughtful gifts are charming. So if you are gonna give him a gift, which you shouldn't do often, make sure it's surprise and make it very specific based on a need. See what I'm saying? So don't outshine the master. If you are really, so another thing about being charming is if you're hanging out with a guy, don't outshine him. So if you're really smart, be quiet and listen. You see, if you're someone who's really smart, one second, my dog is outside. If you're someone who's really smart, act as though you don't know much and listen to the guy. Right? Rather than giving him advice, ask for advice and be like a child. Be curious about the things that he does. This is flattery at its finest, being curious about the things that he really loves. Right? People are charmed with others who display curiosity about what they do. This sometimes means lowering your own light so that he can shine higher than you. Only to those who are above you, which is in this case, anyone who you like, anyone who you feel like you have an invested interest, put them on a high ground and just diminish yourself lower for the moment. Let him have the mic. Let him have the shine for the moment. Why? Because now, when he feels like he has a shine, then you create space. Then you create space and let him feel what it feels like not to be in the limelight. Let him feel what it feels like not to be cared for, not to be someone who's around and ask him, how are you? Are you feeling sick? Do you need something done for you? You see, you give him a taste of what he wants and then you take it away. Because now in his mind, he's going to be like, fuck, all those things that she did was so nice. You see, there's nothing you can do wrong when somebody wants you. Right? Learn to deflect questions. So the point is to create an aura of mystery through responding to them, but not responding to them in a way that's self-fulfilling. For example, if I tell you, so where you from? And like I said earlier, and you say, I'm from New York City, and you say, I'm from the East Coast, you immediately ask me, so where am I from? Because my natural tendency is to ask you, oh, for what part of New York City? Right? What part of New York City, what part of the East Coast are you from? Right? And so what happens by redirecting a question to you, it causes you to be curious, but at the same time you have to answer my question. So now you go inside yourself and you answer the question, and I change the topic, right? And so what's happening is that when you do this often, a few times in an interaction, you naturally make the person curious about you because you're not really giving them a fulfilling answer. You see, and so from what I've noticed when I do this, it naturally makes a person want to know you more. For example, another thing you could do is if he says, so tell me, what kind of work you do? Oh, me, no, I work in administration. How about you? How about you? How I work in administration? How about you? Right? And so you get him to talk about his job. Oh, I do this and I do that. Oh, for real, what do you love about your job? And then you keep asking, right? And so in his mind, he's gonna have a certain idea of you. He's just not gonna have a complete idea of who you are as a person. You see, and so, but the problem is, though, is that in his mind, he feels like he knows you because he talked to you about certain things. He feels a familiar feeling because he expressed himself. When a person talks about themselves, they naturally feel better. And so they'll naturally then attribute the emotions of talking about themselves to you. You'll be the anchor for those emotions. And so they'll naturally like you more. I'm telling you. So you don't do this all the time because what happens is that if he says, seriously, what do you do? You don't just be like, oh, so I do secretary work. How about you? No, if they ask you twice about it after you redirected the question, of course you answer it so you don't look suspicious and weird, right? But you do it in the beginning, and that'll give you that effect, right? And so when you do this for your whole personality, when you just get in the habit of not revealing everything about yourself and withholding the good things about you, and you'll naturally get the person to become curious about you. Another thing is it's just withholding certain things about you. For example, if somebody tells you if I know that if I tell somebody about my YouTube channel, immediately after they talk about YouTube, they'll naturally be like, oh, he's trying to tell me because he's trying to impress me, right? So what I do is if they talk about YouTube, I won't even talk about what I do. They're like, oh, for real? Yeah, YouTube is fun. Yeah, and you change the topic. And then when they tell you, what do? You'll be like, oh, I'm a YouTuber, right? And so what's happening is that in their mind, they're like, why didn't he immediately want to impress me when I talked about YouTube? It's kind of like talking about Lamborghini and me having a Lamborghini and me wanting to impress you. I'll naturally bring up the Lamborghini in the first instance we talk about car. Heck, even talking about toy cars, I'll bring up a Lambo. But if I don't bring it up, it'll show that my real status is not based on what I have, but based on me. You see, it'll be like, that's cool. I have a Lambo, that's cool, but that's no big deal. It doesn't define me. And so the impression that gives off is an impression of someone who has high value. And that'll naturally increase your charisma. Right? So essentially, don't say too much about yourself. Let them talk about themselves and reveal less. And they'll feel the impression that they know you, but they won't have a concrete thing to point to you that says, I know this about you. They'll just have a good familiar feeling about you. So once it feels your warmth, once it feels the attention, and once it feels your warm presence, enhance it through creating space and showing this interest afterwards. Now, after the next day, let's say you show interest after the date, the next day you show this interest. This allows your warmth to amplify in his mind, thus increasing your charm. Or you could be fucked up and you could show interest the next day after the date. You show interest, plan to meet up, and then cancel on him. That's really fucked up. But that's an example. So you enhance it even greater by giving him a good impression, making him feel powerful by showing interest, and then the next day taking a step back, and that'll naturally enhance the impression he had of you, and thus it'll increase your charisma. Because anything you say after that, even a high, is going to be an important high because it comes from someone who rejected you, from someone who looked like you lost them, but in reality you didn't. They just came back from the dead. You see, he'd be like, oh, fuck, she's back. Now your high has more power. Does that make sense? Anyway, this is Alex from mindforattraction.org. I know it was a long video. If you need one-on-one coaching, just go to mindforattraction.org/in-game coaching, and you'll be able to get coaching over there. Anyways, take care and have a great day. Oh, and I'll be doing seminars. London. I'm going to London. I'm going to I'm going to Europe, a part of Europe in December. So if you want to attend my seminar, go check my website, and you'll be able to check out my seminar. It will be in the description below. All right. Take care and bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I want you guys to check out my new course called Nice Girl. It's available for purchase right now. Okay. This course I specifically made for women who consider themselves nice, for women who are too forgiving, for women who let other people guilt trip them easily, for women who always give people the benefit of the doubt but always end up getting played. This course will teach you about people's actual manipulations, about the strategies that people use to to extort from you, to take from you without you getting anything in return. Because nice people are in abundance in the world. And nice people, unfortunately, if they allow their nature to guide their lives, they will become bitter because they'll end up seeing that their niceness never leads to anything. So the goal of being a nice person is to get people to like you. But sometimes it has actual backward effects. Like it actually creates what you're trying to avoid. So this course will teach nice girls how to get what they want through being more assertive, how to express themselves, how to not get played, how to identify manipulation, how to reverse manipulation. So if you're somebody who's always had that consistently in their lives, who are always people pleaser, who are always being passive aggressive, this course will teach you how to communicate all of those things that you want to communicate with people without getting played. Okay, I'll teach you how to be more assertive. I'll teach you how to identify disrespect, because when you're a nice person, you have a hard time understanding when people are being disrespectful because you're seeing the world through insecurity. You want to be liked, and so when somebody doesn't like you, you sort of twist it around in a weird way. So I show you how to see disrespect. I show you how to stand up for yourself. I show you how to deter aggressors. I show you how to avoid sending signs of weakness and how to send signs of strength. Right? And I even show you a meditation on how to become more assertive. Check it out. It's a course that it's not a super long course because I made it that length for a reason. I don't want to overburden you with too much information. This is just straight to the point. If you watch this course, you will get the results. This is not a 5-hour course. Okay, this is like a 2.5-hour course. So I think it's 2 hours, something like that. And the reason is, okay, so if you do what the videos say, you will over time overcome your niceness. Okay, purchase it now. In the description down below, you'll see where it says purchase nice girl. It's only $99 and there's a 30-day money back guarantee. No questions asked. You'll get your money back, okay? Because if you don't get it back, I'm closing the channel. That's for sure. All right, so I'll see you guys inside, and I hope you guys enjoy that course.